On today's episode, we preview the 2025 Detroit Tigers with Scott Bentley of Locked On Tigers. You're listening to the Bucko Banter podcast, brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue music.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Or the steak by the plate, sending case after case. Run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snake.
Welcome back to another team preview. Today we've got the Detroit Tigers, and we're joined by another Scott Bentley of Locked On Tigers. Scott, welcome on.
I appreciate the offer, boys. Yeah, no, I'm pumped. Baseball is right around the corner. And question off rip here: is there any objection to me saying the two best pitchers in baseball are represented today?
I don't think I disagree at all. Cool. Yeah,
I'm with it then. I'm with it.
Let's go. Well, let's hop into it. Tigers coming off of I would say a great year, all things considered, how it ended. 2024, 86 and 76. Third in the AL Central, had a great push towards the end of the year. Let's go through the offseason, Scott. Some additions, some subtractions, and then I want to get a grade from you to see if this is enough to continue this good season from last year into 2025. Via free agency, you added Jose Urquidy, John Brevia, Flaherty, he's back, Tommy Canley, Alex Cobb, Gleyber Torres, Andrew Chafin on a minor league deal, and via trade Bailey Horn. And then you lost Ryan Vilade, Mason Englert, Alex Faedo, and Devin Sweet. How do we grade this offseason?
Yeah, well, it's really funny. About 40 minutes ago, they signed Manny Margot to a major league contract.
Whoa.
So,
all right,
hilarious that is happening the day we're recording. I'm not kidding. Like, as soon as I looked at my phone, like maybe 20 minutes before we hit record. So, yeah, man, like it is. When you look at the subtractions, I don't think that there's anything in that group that's going to, be a huge loss to the team. I really like Devin Sweet, actually, barely played at the major league level. But I think that really when you look at the ads going into this offseason, there was a desire for this team to improve offensively. And like, I think that, and I'm sure you guys can kind of have a perspective on this as well. Like, the Tigers have become a team that can develop pitching, similar to like the trend we're seeing in Pittsburgh as well over the last few years. And like, it's awesome. Like, it's just the best. Like, there's so much, when you bring in any pitcher, the fan base's initial reaction is just kind of like, oh, like, maybe here, like, maybe the Tigers lab can like get some production out of them. So love the ads they made in the pitching room. Obviously, Flaherty coming back is a huge deal. And then trying to improve an already really, really good bullpen from a season ago. But I think the questions really just continue to lie offensively, which I'm sure is also a conversation you guys have had a lot. Like, it is Bregman, right? Like, touchy subject, I think that was someone that a lot of people in the fan base really wanted, and the Tigers made a relatively competitive offer. But like, I think Bregman took the better deal at the same time. Like, that's a up $40 million and opt out every year. Are you kidding? Like, yeah, dude, like that, you get all the power and all the money. So I think there's a lot of questions about how third base is going to look, how center field with Parker Meadows being hurt, which sucks, is going to look, and just kind of how much run production they're going to get in general. Gleyber Torres was a big ad. Questions about whether Torkelson is going to, turn it around and figure it out at the major league level. I think overall, I gave this offseason a B-. Like, I think they improved. I don't think they lost very much. I think they addressed some needs. But at the same time, I think there was still a lot more room to grow, and I'm not sure they solidified themselves as like this young up-and-coming team that I'm sure a lot of people wanted them to be in Detroit after a great year last year.
Seems like, just looking at the additions and subtractions, and we didn't even account for Manny Margot, as you announced, that they added a lot more than they lost. And it didn't seem like there was a big name that really left. Like, Alex Faedo probably had the most big league time out of the group of guys that we announced. Do you think bringing in guys like Gleyber Torres And having another year of Colt Keith at the big league level allows some of these young guys that they're trying to develop to maybe not have so much pressure on them, like a Jace Young who's coming up, or even a Trey Sweeney who's slotting in at shortstop.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. That's something that the front office has really tried to drive home in the Scott Harris era, is like, we are not going to put the organization in a position where we are spending money and blocking young talent. And this is one of the better farm systems in baseball. I think on top of that, and you're seeing guys get closer and closer to the major league level. Like everybody, Kevin McGonigal just homered about 15 minutes ago. Like, well,
I'm a big fan.
Really pumped about him. I know everybody at Just Baseball is big on Magoo over there, but it's. I think that when it comes to the 2025 kind of short term outlook of it, this is the organization will tell you how they feel about somebody, right? Like there is Jace Young got optioned and isn't gonna make the opening day roster. Like that decision was made 3 or 4 days ago now. Like they, with a week left in spring training, they were like, yeah, like the only healthy third baseman we have is not going to make the opening day roster. He had a terrible spring and didn't hit very well at the end of last year either. And then, but on the same breath, you have guys like Torkelson who that's what's so weird about the Glaber signing is it's like they brought in Gleyber Torres, a second baseman, to replace Spencer Torkelson, a first baseman, because they're moving Colt Keith over to first. So I am huge on Colt Keith still. I loved him as a prospect. I think another year in the big leagues will help a lot. I think that they're trying to walk this line of current production, but also a clear path of development for their young players. And it is proving to be an incredibly difficult line to walk.
What about this projected lineup, Scott? Let's go through it. Here's what Fangraphs has about a week away from opening day. Center field, Wencel Perez. Left field, Riley Green. Second base, Gleyber Torres. Right field, Kerry Carpenter. First base, Colt Keith. DH, Spencer Torkelson. At short, as Scott just mentioned, Trey Sweeney. Third base, Javier Baez. And then behind the dish, Jake Rogers. How do we feel about 1 through 9? And is there anyone else that could crack this opening day lineup come next week?
Yeah, well, it's an AJ Hinch team, so it's going to be platoon to heck and back. You're going to have.
We know about that. We know about that.
Yeah, man. If you see the same lineup 2 days in a row, I would be shocked. So that's always the fun thing about projecting lineups for the Tigers. It's like, I mean, I guess we can, but I'm not really sure it's a valid practice in this case. And especially if they get Snell on opening day, they're playing, at Dodgers to open the season. Super pumped about that. But if they end up getting Snell on opening day, you're going to see the lefty lineup. So it's I think that is the unique position that the Tigers are in with their bench is all of their bench will be used. The days of this, we're going to have the 13th hitter on the team just be a really fast guy so that he can pinch run sometimes is over. All of those guys are going to play, and especially with the way AJ manages his lineups, third base is probably going to be a platoon between Zach McKinstry and Andy Ibanez to open the year. I'm not thrilled about that. But Jace Young didn't hit and Matt Vierling's hurt. That's just how the chips fell. And I think my biggest concern right now is center field. Parker Meadows is one of my favorite players in all of baseball. And I think that he is a perennial 4+ win player when he is fully healthy. He is fast as a gazelle, plays elite defense in center field, premier position, draws walks, has 20 home run power. He's an absolute dog, and he showed it in the second half of last season. And he has this weird, pinched nerve injury that's going to sideline him for months, apparently. And he can run. He's doing defensive drills. He's hitting. He can do everything. He just can't throw a baseball because it's in his throwing shoulder. And so now with him and Vierling hurt, as you mentioned, Wencel Perez, opening day center fielder, not thrilled about that. Not a center fielder, and is a switch hitter that didn't hit lefties last year. But then they go out and sign Manny Margot, which I've barely had time to digest, and I'm sure that he'll be in the fold in that mix as well. So, yeah, man, my general thoughts is that it's just going to be a lot of subs outside of the top a lot of platoons outside of the top 4 or 5 guys. Expecting a big year out of Riley Green. I'm hoping that some of the young guys can take a step forward. And, with the pitching that this team has proven they have, this offense really only needs to be like kind of middle of the pack for the Tigers to be a pretty darn good team this year, I think.
Let's go through that rotation real quick. Tariq Skubal, Jack Flaherty, Reese Olson, Casey Mize, Jackson Jobe as a 5th guy, someone we're really excited about. And that leaves out guys like Kyler Montero, Matt Manning that have big league experience. But is that top 5 how you see it lining up for opening day?
Yeah, 100%. I think there was a little bit of a question going throughout spring, whether it was going to be, Kenta Maeda has had a really solid spring, and he was brutal for the Tigers a season ago. They signed him to a 2-year deal last winter, and to the point where he got moved to the bullpen in the middle, like June or July of last season, and was like better, but still like just didn't have the velo. He was, in 2025, he's topping out at 89 miles an hour, dude. Like it just wasn't going to cut it. And so, he's going to go and start off in the bullpen, and his velo's back up to like 92, 93 even on the fastball, which is great. Casey Mize, I'm ready to get hurt again, man. Like I'm so ready to get hurt again. This spring, he has looked absolutely unbelievable. I think this is the best version of Casey Mize that I have seen since he was at Auburn. He's throwing a 90-mile-an-hour splitter this year so far. Like last year, his splitter was so bad he stopped throwing it. Like that's the pitch that made him 1-1. He just dropped the pitch from his repertoire a season ago. Sliders looking like 88, 89 with some whiffs, splitters getting whiffs, fastballs at 97. Like this is the best he's ever looked. And I think that I trust the top 3 pretty wholeheartedly. Jackson Jobe is disgusting. I'm sure he's going to take his rookie lumps, but like best pitching prospect in baseball, if you don't count Yamamoto, or Sasaki rather, there's a lot of high upside and a lot of talent there. I think that Mize is kind of that, are you going to have a really solid top 3 and maybe like a shaky bottom 2, or are you going to have a solidified, like disgusting 5 top to bottom? And I'm really excited to get completely just hurt again with Casey Mize for sure.
With Jobe, I mean, we saw this with Skeens and Jared Jones last year. Is there going to be some type of innings limit on him? Are they going to monitor his workload throughout 2025?
Yeah, I would imagine so. They did with Skubal back his rookie year. They did with Mize. Now, it turns out Mize was, needed Tommy John. So that maybe has a little bit of an effect on that. But yeah, like I would imagine in some capacity. The beautiful thing about where the Tigers stand right now, starting pitching wise, is they just have so much depth organizationally there that like they can absolutely afford to, you know what, Jobe, you're capped at 120 this year, you're capped at 110, and like past that, we're gonna call up Cater Montero, and he's looked great in the spring. He was valuable for the Tigers down the stretch. Guys like Brant Herter, I just mentioned, Kenta Maeda's looked a lot better. Maybe he can even give you some spot starts. I mean, prospect wise, there's just a laundry list. I would imagine they do limit him in some capacity. I know that you guys went through that frustration with Skeens when he first got called up a little bit too. But I also think that, like he made the opening day roster. Like that's confirmed. That's done. He's going to be the 5th starter on opening day. And I think that you kind of gotta let the dog off the leash, if you will, with his stuff and how talented he is. So we'll see how many innings that ends up being, or if they even have an exact number. But I would imagine, especially in the dog days, July, August, he's probably limited in some capacity.
Gotcha. Let's go through this bullpen real quick. Interesting group here: Jason Foley, Bo Brieski, Tyler Holden, Tommy Canley added, Will Vest, Brennan Hannafy, John Brebbia, Kenta Maeda. How do we feel about this group? Tyler Holton's a dog. That's a name I really like. Adding Tommy Canley is always a good thing in middle relief. I know the bullpen's always a rotating door, but do you like this squad going into the season?
Yeah, I do. This was a bullpen that was fantastic last year, and like we all know that relievers are volatile, right? Like they can just completely blow up from one year to the next. Like
Yeah.
it's interesting. We'll see what kind of production they get from everybody this year, but I'm not too worried about it. I think that AJ Hinch is a fantastic manager rather of the bullpen. And I think that, I mean, you mentioned Tyler Holton is absolutely incredible. The one thing that they might be lacking is like a solidified highest leverage reliever, as AJ Hinch calls it, because he doesn't like the word closer. But you know what I mean? Like they are maybe missing that bona fide, like, oh, this is the guy we're going to give the ball to in the bottom of the ninth of a one-run game. You mentioned Tommy Kahnle being middle relief. I think there's a chance that he's pitching ninth innings, and like that's not because he's maybe the best reliever in the bullpen. The one frustration I have with the pen is that they don't have very much swing and miss there. They get a lot of outs, and they have, Jason Foley's incredible. He's a ground ball guy. He doesn't get whiffs. Tyler Holton's incredible. Average, swing and miss and strikeout rate guys. Like that's pretty much what they're. Will Vest, same thing. Like good stuff, can get it if needed, but like isn't a consistent high whiff rate guy. And so Kahnle brings that, and he brings some swing and miss and some high strikeout rate, even if it comes at the expense of walks. I think Alex Lang is a huge factor too. He's coming off of a huge injury, barely pitched in the second half of last season. But he's another guy, like if he can throw it anywhere near the strike zone, is going to get a ton of whiffs, but that's a huge question mark. He had a 15% walk rate last year. So we'll see. But I think that's the only thing that I'm remotely concerned about is like, is there a guy man on third, one out, bottom of the ninth with in a one-run game that you're like, okay, we can only afford a strikeout here. Who are we going to? I'm not sure we have the answer to that question yet. So we'll see. But I think in terms of just overall run prevention and value, it's going to be another really solid year for sure.
Yeah, I think the Pirates are kind of trending in that direction by not liking to use the word closer. They have a couple of guys that toward the back end, and if David Bednar is unable to figure out his issues, I think they might go with 3 or 4 guys rather than having one, defined closer.
For
but
sure.
So you got some good names back there, like we mentioned. How about some prospects? Are there guys that you're really excited to follow this year, or you expect to make an impact on this big league club?
Yeah, it's interesting. So as we talked about earlier, and as I know that Just Baseball did their prospect rankings, a week or two ago now. Like the Tigers have a very legit farm system at this point, and it's widely considered to be one of the better ones, even if you don't want to put an exact, like place or ranking on it. The interesting thing is this front office in the Scott Harris era is very big on drafting high school talent. They're huge on the prep players, and they've kind of steered away from the college players. So there's a lot of talent, but a lot of that minor league talent is in like AA or lower. There's not a ton, weirdly, there's not a ton of guys that are, top prospects in this organization that are like waiting in the wings. Sans like Jackson Jobe, obviously, but even he debuted at the end of last season. So it's I don't know, it's a weird dynamic where there is depth, but it might be like a year away from being valuable major league depth. I think there's certainly, again, a laundry list of pitchers that they can always grab and kind of reach down and get. But I think that's one of the reasons why they went out and they're getting guys like Manuel Margot 3 days before opening day. It's like, well, do they have anybody waiting in the wings in outfield? Like they have some darn good prospects down in high single A that are play outfield, but I'm not sure they have anybody in Toledo and in triple A that's necessarily right around the corner for that position. So we'll see. I would imagine Jace Young is back at some point this year. I'd be shocked if he was just in triple A all season, but he's got some serious offensive stuff to work through to kind of regain that. And I think the other one, again, he's not really he's not a prospect at all, actually. I think that's probably just like a cheap answer. But like when Parker Meadows is healthy, I promise he's going to be one of the best players on this team. I genuinely believe that. But in terms of like the Lorenzo's and the Briseños and McGonigal and Clark and like all these guys, like they're going to start off in high single A or double A, and so it's weird how the organization is structured. They're probably a year or two away still from being like, oh, there's top prospects at every team in the minor league system, and so we'll see if that kind of bites them in the rear end this year.
What about a pick to click, Scott? Somebody on this current roster that's going to help take this Tigers team to the next level.
Yeah, well, if you can't tell, my immediate answer would be Parker Meadows,
Yeah.
but for just the sake of mixing it up, I'll go a different direction too, because he's not going to be on the opening day roster. I think it's really easy to point to Job too, just because you have so much talent and he's in the 5th spot in the rotation. Like if you're that deep, where a guy with that caliber of stuff is going to bookmark your rotation with one of the best pitchers in baseball, like that's going to be huge. But I really, man, it's almost like I'm all again ready to get hurt for a billionth time. Like Torkelson's looked really good in the spring. I'm kind of ready to just like go, oh, maybe, and then just have my heart ripped out again. But I think my real answer would probably be Colt Keith. This is a guy that I was so high on when he was in the minor leagues and just raked. And last year, you saw flashes. He had one, I want to say it was May or June, where he had like a 950 OPS or whatever. But then, he ended as around a slightly below league average hitter and was kind of consistently that, especially in the second half of the season. And we still haven't really seen him get his timing figured out. Like he's still a little bit off on like elevated fastballs and just getting around and being able to pull velocity. He still has just like not presumably been able to do in spring training and wasn't very good at that last season. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that it's Colt Keith, maybe more than I believe it's Colt Keith, but I think that the ceiling is still there. I think he's athletic enough and going to be fine to play first base this year. I'm not too worried about the defense there. But he is like a huge X factor for this team. The lineup gets exponentially deeper when you look at the top and the bottom if Colt Keith becomes what we thought he was going to be offensively. So I think that he's going to be very, very important, especially again at a new position for the team this year.
Before we let you go, Scott, give us a 2025 prediction. Could be team or player oriented.
Yeah, I think, man, there's so many things that I want to say that I have so many in the chamber. Some good, some bad. I think a lot of people are really excited about this Tigers team this year here after the year they had a season ago, obviously. And I think that there's a lot of momentum, but I also think that the AL Central is not a complete laughingstock, I'll say, like it maybe once was. And I think that it's going to be a pretty competitive division outside of obviously the 5th place team there, top to bottom. And I think one of my takes kind of division wide is that like if the Twins stay healthy, they're going to be really good. And like that's going to be a team that's going to be really hard given the fact that the Tigers were 10 games under 500 in August, right? Like it's not like they played at that playoff caliber baseball all season. They were the best team in ball from August 10th on. And before that, they were a sub 500 ball club. So like to take down those teams and to take down a team like Minnesota that is kind of objectively more talented than you, just roster to roster, you have to play more consistent. So like one of the things that I keep trying to warn people here is like the Twins are really good if they can get the 3 best players on their team can play together at all ever. And then I think that Tigers wise, I'm ready to get hurt again with Mize, man. I have been so impressed with what I've seen. I think that this, I'm not sure the hope of like this guy's going to be a 1-1 like Cy Young candidate. I think that's probably that ship has sailed, but in terms of being like a sub-4 ERA, really effective, middle rotation starter, I think that he has absolutely shown that that's kind of back on the table, and I'm expecting that from him. Which
he can be a Mitch Keller. He can be a Mitch Keller. Yeah,
for sure. I 100% agree, and that that terrifies me because now inevitably he'll, just look like he has his whole career and spring training was just a fluke. But like, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready for ball, and I'm ready to get my heart ripped out for sure.
Yeah, you're speaking our language, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, preaching to the choir there, I feel like.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Where can all of our listeners find your work at?
Yeah, so my X account, I always just still call it Twitter, but my X account is Bentley Scotty. I am the host of Locked On Tigers, as you guys mentioned. That is just the name of that account. YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, etc., just like y'all. I also host Locked On Red Wings. So if you're, for some weird reason, a Bucks fan and a Detroit Red Wings hockey fan, I'm kind of your plug for that too. And then I cover a lot of local sports for the newspaper as well. All of that is just on my personal Twitter. That's probably the best place to find it all for sure.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you coming on, Scott. And if you're in PNC this summer, like you said, you try to come down here quite a bit, please let us know, and we'll have to do this again soon.
Absolutely, man. No, I appreciate you all. I really do. I love Just Baseball, all of the work. I love Clay, Tigers Just Baseball. What an absolute dog he is. So, man, like you guys do a fantastic job. You got some Locked On ties up top too with ARAM and whatnot. So yeah, I love coming on here anytime, truly. And best of luck to the Bucks, baby. I'm so excited to see some young pitching over there in Steeltown for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates, or the steak by the plates and